To get ready for the theme park season, I will be counting down my 20 favorite moments at Cedar Point. This isn't just restricted to roller coasters as well. There can be moments from flat rides or any other rides that I think deserve to be on this list, but most of it will be coaster elements. But this list will change once I get on Top Thrill 2 and Siren's Curse, but I can do that at a later date. But let's start and just hop right into it. Dead last is a very relaxing one, and that is Windseeker's max height. This isn't intense or has any crazy airtime, it's just a nice easy ride 300 feet in the air. But when you're up there, you just spin around in a circle and take in all of the great views at Cedar Point. You can see every ride in the park easily, and looking out into Lake Erie is very cool as well. Just wish that it was open more, it's never open. Spot 19 belongs to Millie's second airtime hill. This is a good airtime element, and most people would probably say that the first hill is better, but the second one is just a little bit better for me. It's a very standard airtime hill, but an airtime hill is an airtime hill. It's got some pretty solid floater. And it's actually kind of sustained as well, getting a nice easy amount of floater over a couple of seconds. But I really wish that the rest of the airtime hills on this ride were as good as this one, because the other ones are kind of mediocre. Up next is Gatekeeper's Zero G roll. This isn't the most intense roll or the whippiest roll in the park, but I enjoy it a ton, and that's because of the near-miss elements that are absolutely diabolical. As you roll up, you go sideways through the keyhole, and then do it again on the other side for an amazing near-moment element. As well as getting some solid floater and being over the front entrance is very cool as well, and seeing all the people below you. 17th place is Power Tower's Red Side Launch Up. This is definitely not a normal drop tower, being that it doesn't drop you straight down like the blue side, which I do not actually have on the list. But sitting at the bottom, building up suspense, and then launch 200 feet in the sky is really cool. The airtime is amazing, but after that you kind of just bobble there, but that initial launch is incredibly fun. Raptor's Double Helix goes at 16. This is the best intensity moment on the list, and the reason why it's not higher is because intensity really isn't my thing, but I can appreciate a good moment of intensity when I see it. The Helix is a straight 10 seconds of bone-crushing positives, and it's very easy for everybody on the train to gray out, and is a perfect ending for the intensity machine that is Raptor. Gemini's first hill lands here. Now, this isn't really a hill, but just the first drop off the wide turn, but it is a very good and surprisingly good moment. If you are in the back, you get a good amount of whip off the drop, and the airtime is a mix of floater and ejector, which is super surprising for this 50-year-old era when I rode it for the first time. And it's pretty sustained as well, which makes it even better. Next up is Millennium Force's Speed Hill. At the end of Millie, you still have a solid amount of speed, and you hit a low-to-the-ground hill that provides a quick pop of floater airtime. It's probably the best moment of airtime on the ride other than the drop, and with those amazing restraints, you can get all that great airtime. The 12th spot goes to Steel Vengeance's first Zero G roll. This one is unique in that it isn't a normal Zero G roll. Instead of the normal 360 degrees like a normal roll, it goes an extra 90 degrees, meaning that it's a total of 430 degrees. And the extra roll you can definitely feel, and this ride element is just so satisfying to go through and is super floaty. 11th place is Raptor's Zero G roll. Cedar Point doesn't really have many memorable / iconic inversions, but this one hits insanely hard and is the best in the park. It is like any normal B&M Zero G roll that you get a solid amount of airtime through it, and it has a nice Zero G feeling, but this is old B&M we're talking about. So you take it head on with a lot of speed, and it's one of the snappiest inversions that I've ever ridden. First ride out of the top 10 goes to Maverick's Stangle Dives. Some of the snappiest moments that you will find. You rise up and get whipped to the right insanely fast that I legitimately believe that if you didn't have the over-the-shoulder restraints, you would get whiplash. Then after that, you have another one, which is even better than the first one in that you're turning to the right, and then snapped incredibly hard to the left, and it's even faster than the first one. So whippy, man, and pretty fun. A great way to end Maverick. Number 11 goes to Magnum XL200. This is one that people usually have way higher, but for me, it falls at number 10. Now, when these do hit, it's some of the strongest airtime not only in the park, but the world. It's just hill after hill of some of the punchiest ejector airtime, and is a fantastic way to finish Magnum when they do hit. Ninth place is Skyhawk's Last Swings. This is the highest non-coaster moment and is really amazing, and Skyhawk as a whole is a near perfect flat ride. The last swings go up easily 180 to 200 feet in the air, and that is just wild. Then you get some insane airtime for a flat ride while either looking down at the ground or up into the sky. This is my favorite flat ride and my favorite flat ride moment in the park easily. The airtime is majestic, and I just can't put it any other way. A very underappreciated element is next, and that is Valraven's drop. This is one of my favorite drops, and the anticipation on this thing is immaculate. You get to the top, get held over the drop for a good 5 seconds, building that suspense. Then you drop into the 90-degree, 200-foot drop that just makes my stomach drop every time with some solid airtime. Underrated for sure. Next up is Maverick's Airtime Hill. This is arguably the most intense airtime moment in the entire park, and it lands at number 7. After the switchbacks, you are thrown into this element and get some super strong airtime that could legitimately hurt your legs. And off-ride, when it goes over the hill, it just looks cartoonishly quick, which is honestly what gives it that intensity. But if it was a little bit more sustained, it would be even higher, but it's just so punchy. It's so incredibly good. Sixth place goes to Gatekeeper's First Drop. This element is so slept on, and it is almost a top 5 element in the park for me. If you sit in the front of the train while twisting over, you get some of the best hang time in the entire park. But if you sit in the back, you can get some insane whip for a wing coaster, and I love how depending on where you sit, you get a completely different experience that are both elite. Every moment that I have said so far have been amazing, but the top 5 are just elite of the elite, and some of my favorite moments on all rides. But the number 5 spot is... First ride of the top 5 goes to Maverick's Launch. The one launch in the park currently, for now, is insanely fun and has got me extremely hyped up for Top Thrill 2. And you go like 10 to 70 miles per hour in 2 seconds, just getting pressed against the back of your seat, and it's just so powerful for a standard LSM launch. Next up is Steel Vengeance's Outer Bank Hill. A lot of people's number 1s. Isn't quite that for me, but it's still elite, no doubt. You rise up into the element like a normal hill, but halfway through you get thrown to the left. And the whip is crazy, sending you flying into the air. Then you get a good 4 to 5 seconds of straight sideways ejector, which is incredible and wasn't seen sustained for this long before. Millie's First Drop slides in at number 3. This is just an iconic moment, and you knew that it was going to be very high on this list. It may not be the most intense or have the best airtime out of all drops, but it's so incredibly fun, and that's the best way that I can put it in my own words. Since it's 300 feet, it feels like it lasts forever and forever. And you get a nice flow ejector airtime at the same time, with those snug, intimate restraints that allow for all of that amazing, great airtime. Second place is Steel Vengeance's Top Hat. Personally, I have this a little bit over the Outer Bank, and both are amazing, obviously, but this one edges it out barely. This comes right after the first drop, so you have maximum speed. But it has zero bank to it, so you're getting almost pulled to the left while getting some airtime, and it legitimately feels like your legs are about to be ripped off. And then you get a sharp pull to the ground halfway through, which just sends you out of your seat once again, and is almost like a 2-part to the element. Just incredibly fun for an elite ride. My favorite moment at the park is Maverick's First Drop. This part is just so punchy and powerful. Since the drop is only about 100 feet tall, it has to get to that 95 degrees very, very quickly, which is why it's so powerful and so sharp. The airtime is elite and the best at Cedar Point in my opinion, and it's crazy how fast it ejects you out of your seat. So powerful, punchy, every single different descriptive word that you could give it. Comment what your favorite moment is below, if I left anything off the list, anything like that. But subscribe to the channel, and other than that, have a good day.